Man, I have not posted in a while. If you do not remember me, I made those other videos about chess in Roblox and my nickname is Apple. Today I will be making AI in Roblox. For AI in Roblox, we will be making something called a neural network. These neural networks aim to recreate how the brain works. If you know anything about AI, you would know AI is not new and it dates all the way back to 1956 by Frank Rosenblatt. This was named the perceptron. This perceptron aimed to do exactly what AI does today, or at least close. It was aimed to replicate how neurons fire in your brain. In order to understand this perceptron, you need to understand that neurons can be in two different states. These states are if the neuron is firing or it is not. This means neurons are binary. The input for a single neuron is the output of a ton of neurons. There are connections between these neurons, and these connections have varying strengths. This means it can lower the output of one neuron or keep the same output of another neuron. To find the output of the single neuron, you have to multiply each output of previous neurons by the strength of the connections and add them up. If the final value is bigger or equal to the value of something called a bias, the neuron fires, otherwise it does not fire. Frank Rosenblatt arranged 400 pixels into a 20 by 20 grid. He used these as inputs, or input neurons. Each pixel that was on was making the neuron fire. All of these neurons were connected to a single output neuron. Each strength for each connection is called a weight. Each weight had its own adjustable value to give a correct output. The main goal of the perceptron was to be able to distinguish two different images. This would mean it could be shown an image of a square or triangle and it could fire or not fire based on that. In order to do this, it had to go through a process named training. Training is the process of showing the neural network a bunch of examples, seeing what it outputs and changing it in a way based off of that. For this series, we will be using a training process called gradient descent. Gradient descent is picking a random value of weights and biases and mapping points around it and finding what has less of a cost and moving there with some fancy math. You might ask, what is cost? Cost is something that defines how much the network got something incorrect. You can symbolize this by finding the absolute value of the correct value minus the calculated value. You can imagine gradient descent with a ball rolling down a hill going to what might have the least cost in it. Today, neural networks act a bit different. These neural networks do not have the input go straight to the output. Instead, they go through layers called the hidden layers. These layers provide extra steps of calculation to find the answer. Instead of biases being a comparing value where it checks if the output is bigger than it, it actually just adds to the output. Neurons now are also not in binary, and instead they use the traditional number system. In today's video, I will be making a neuron be able to fire and have some basic inputs. I will start off with making a module script. Now I have a module script that can find the output of a neuron based off of its weights, inputs, and its bias. Now I need to make a scalable amount of input neurons in a script named main. Now that I have finished the scalable amount of input neurons, I will finish off this video. Next video we will make the middle layer and output layer with a scalable amount of neurons in every layer.